morning, viewers and subscribers to this channel. I welcome you once again to this series of our discussion on deaths that you do not have to die. I remain Dr. Wallace Olumese, your host and your medical doctor on this channel. If you remember in the last episode before this one, I promised you that I was going to bring you tips or information on one of those entities that constitute the death that you do not have to die. And I promised that in my next video, I'm going to talk about hypertension. Yes, as we make progress, I'm going to try to be as simple as possible so that everyone who are viewing, those who are watching the channel will be carried along and will be able to easily understand the things we speak about concerning these medical conditions. So high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, is one of those preventable entities that could lead to death. And as my friend, my brother, my sister, you don't have to go through that route. And so as we speak, I'd like you to listen very carefully. And if you have questions or comments, you can put them on the comment section and I will address them timely. So what does it mean when we say someone has hypertension? In simple terms, this means that the pressure in the blood vessel of such a person is elevated or is raised. Normally, the pressure should be 120 or 120 over 80 millimeters of mercury or less, but it shouldn't go beyond or below 90 millimeters of mercury over 60 millimeters of mercury. Now, the cutoff point for high blood pressure is usually 140 over 90 millimeters mercury. So if you check your blood pressure on 2 occasions, that is first instance, second instance, and the pressure remains either 140 over 90 or above this value, then I dare say that you may be a candidate for diagnosis of this condition. One may as well say you have high blood pressure. Now, before we go on, I'd like you to know that high blood pressure is not a death sentence. Rather, it is better you get to know earlier because there are various modalities of treatment, of management. But for those who have this condition, they could live actually longer if they imbibe or put into practice these preventive or management measures. Now, when we say 140 over 90, what do we mean? Actually, these are values that depict what is happening in your blood vessels during the working period of your heart. The higher one, since there are 2 numbers, one above and one below. The one above is called the systolic blood pressure and the one below is called the diastolic blood pressure. The systolic blood pressure measures the pressure in your vessels when your heart is contracting. That is when your heart is working. And the diastolic, which is the one below, measures the blood pressure when your heart is temporarily at rest. Now, what does this simply mean? Now, let's look at it this way. The heart, the entire circulatory system of an organism or an individual, is made up of the heart and the blood vessel. The heart is like the reservoir where blood is stored, and from there the blood is pumped through pipes, which are the arteries, to various parts of your body. Now, the reason why we are alive every day and active, walking around, able to carry out our daily activities, is because nutrients which we obtain from the food we eat, from the water we drink, and the things we take in, as well as the oxygen that we breathe, these nutrients are dissolved in our blood. And now these arteries carry this blood to various parts of the body where they need these nutrients. For example, arteries carry these nutrients through the blood or in the blood to the brain, to the heart, to the liver, to the kidney, to the kidneys, to the muscles, and all parts of the body. So this circulatory mechanism of this body is very important for us to be able to carry out our day-to-day activities. Now, when your blood pressure is normal, blood flows easily through these pipes, carrying these nutrients from the heart, from one place to another, and supplying our bodies with vital nutrients, supplying every part of our bodies with vital nutrients and elements that we need for our day-to-day activity. Now, as the pressure in the vessels increase, the movement of blood is slowed down. So it seems like the blood is trying to move through the vessel, but because of the pressure, the vessel is preventing the blood from flowing very easily. And this is responsible for the dangers that high blood pressure pose. Because when blood does not flow easily or flow freely, it starves the vital organs of the body, the various nutrients that they need. For example, the brain needs a lot of glucose to work. The brain also needs a lot of oxygen to work. Now, when blood flows sluggishly, it takes time, and the supply of these nutrients to the brain takes a lot of time. They are delayed, and not only the brain, other organs that we spoke about. And because of this, the cells are starved of these nutrients. And when they are starved of this nutrient, depending on the duration of this starvation and the extent of this starvation, some of the cells may begin to die. And of course, if the cells begin to die, then that part of the body will not deliver optimally as per its function to make the human being or the individual live its normal life. Now, this is the problem with high blood pressure. Now, in the process, when the blood is slowed down in the vessels, the blood can also, because it is slowed down, it can begin to clot. Now, I may say, okay, let's say it begins to congeal. And then if a portion of this blood congeals or clots, it can stick to
to the arteries. And after some time, it can break out of the arteries. And then when it gets to smaller vessels, it can block them. And this will result in an inability of blood to flow through that vessel to deliver vital nutrients or important nutrients to that part of the body. Now, apart from this, the clots can become so big that they obliterate or reduce the size of the vessel, thereby narrowing the vessel and causing only very minimal amount of blood to flow through the vessel. And now all of this goes on and on and on